You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, Black and White Sports supporters, the more and more I hear about Caleb Williams, the more and more I'm like, if I'm a Bears fan, be very careful for what it is you are wishing for. Now, I believe there is one definitive voice in all of the NFL world that is the GOAT when it comes to breaking down game film and players, and that's Greg Cosell. Of course, he's been with NFL Films, and now he's on everybody's podcast, but nonetheless, when he watches tape of a quarterback or any other player, he's going to break it down, and he's going to get it right. I mean, that's just all there is to it. We also have his thoughts on Caleb Williams, and we have what it is that Caleb Williams has decided to not do. And we'll get to that in a minute, and NFL fans, let him hear it. I don't know. If you're a Bears fan, especially considering you're about to ship another quarterback out of town, you might want to think twice about this guy. Between Greg Cosell and Merrill Hodge, who both were involved with NFL Films and NFL matchup forever, you may want to think about this, but okay. Discussions, this is Sports Mockery, discussions about Caleb Williams will continue right up until the draft for Chicago Bears fans. At this point, we've covered all the things the USC star does well. He's mobile, instinctive as a playmaker, avoids excessive turnovers, can throw with some excellent accuracy. Naturally, discussions must involve concerns as well. Williams is listed at 6'1", which might be generous. Yikes. That's not a good sign. He held the ball a lot. That's not a good sign. Searching for big plays rather than taking easier ones. Some have concerns about his lack of an agent and how difficult he might be in any negotiations. We did not make a video about that, but let's just talk about it for half a second. Let me remind you of a quarterback we covered on this channel, still do quite a bit. Lamar Jackson, all right? Now, Lamar Jackson's mama was basically the person that the Ravens had to negotiate with. And to say his contract negotiations became a 1.5 year long hell for the Baltimore Ravens is the understatement of the century. One of those reasons is because he did not have an agent. Part of an agent's job is to go to the said player and say, you're simply not getting this. You're not getting this. In other words, you're not getting Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed contract, which is what Lamar Jackson wanted. By the way, he didn't get it. All right? So an agent is there for brutal honesty back towards the player and to keep them at least somewhat in check. That's a major red flag to me. Greg Cosell is one of the most respected quarterback evaluators out there. He's been doing it for decades and is renowned for his fair, honest assessments and attention to detail. The past few weeks have involved him digging into Williams' tape from 2022 and 2023. Like others, he sees a lot of traits that make it easy to understand why the quarterback is so hyped. However, Cosell explains on Behind the Scene podcast that there's one persistent issue that makes him nervous about Williams. He has a bad habit of taking way too many sacks. Yikes. That's not good. Let's listen.
He's obviously a very good prospect, but I know there are many that you and I would respect that see him as the best quarterback prospect in years and years and years. And I'm not sure I would go that far in my mind based on my tape study. As I said, I think he's a very good prospect. But, he's also been sacked a ton. He's fumbled a ton. I think those are two things that would be concerning. Now, obviously you have to look at every single sack. You have to look at every time he fumbled. You have to look at each individual play, which if you're thinking about drafting him, I would expect that a team would be doing that. Then you have to try to understand why. Yeah, you have to try to understand why those things happen. Those things are numbers on a page, and I've always sort of railed against the idea that numbers on a page tell you a story. But it is a high number, so you'd want to understand why by watching the tape. There are some who believe, and you probably have had these conversations through the years, there are some who believe that if a quarterback gets sacked a lot in college, and once you watch the tape, if you feel that he's a significant reason for that's not going to change. Now, again, no knock on Caleb Williams. I've done my work on him. As I said, I think he's a very good prospect. But, I think that he's a guy that requires hard study and hard due diligence.
Yeah.
Okay, when you hear that part right there, he requires a hard study. That's concerning, and yeah, you should with any quarterback, but that doesn't sound like the grand slam Patrick Mahomes home run we keep hearing about. So, now, let's talk about this. When people talk about the best quarterbacks in NFL history, one trait they often overlook is the ability to avoid sacks. Bill Belichick said that was one of Tom Brady's defining traits. Wow. Across 23 years, Brady was sacked 565 times. That may sound like a lot until you realize Russell Wilson has been sacked 527 times in only 12 years. It's one of Sean Payton's biggest issues with Russell Wilson because it can absolutely be a screeching killer of any offensive drive. Oh, here we go. Few things kill offensive drives in the NFL more than sacks. Recent studies revealed that offensive drives involving a sack ended with a punt 18.4% more often than without one. Offenses were 20% less likely to score if they allowed a sack. Justin Fields was sacked 135 times in 40 games with the Bears. It shouldn't surprise that their offense ranked 27th, 23rd, and 18th in points scored over 3 years. So you got a serious concern. You've got Merrill Hodge coming out and just destroying Caleb Williams. Now you got Greg Cosell, another one of the best evaluators. I think he's the best evaluator in all of the NFL on game film and players both, saying that's not good because it's something that tends to not go away when they make a transition. Like if you see a quarterback that's thrown a lot of picks in college, Sam Darnold is one that comes to mind. You better be concerned because odds are they're going to throw a lot of picks in the NFL. Sam Darnold has thrown a lot of picks in the NFL. I remember that was my number one red flag on Sam Darnold. I remember that. Potential top overall pick, this is Ian Rappaport. Caleb Williams will wait until his pro day to throw and work out for scouts, sources say. He'll be in Indianapolis for the NFL scouting combine, but not throw for teams. You see this headline from PFT. Caleb Williams won't throw or work out at the scouting combine. Look, he doesn't have a ton of incentive to do this, but fans are taking note. I can tell you that. I don't blame them. There's red flags with this guy. I mean, like red flags waving back and forth that this guy has got a little bust component going on here. All right, a little full-on bust component. And if I was the Bears, I'd be very nervous about it. Pathetic. Bro isn't built for the NFL. Interviews will be important for him. They're going to be huge. Yeah, they're going to be huge. Remember, I want ownership coming out? I mean, that was universally laughed at. That's okay. His throwing is the least questionable thing about him. People are wondering about his mental makeup. No doubt about it. Can we get Fields to Pittsburgh? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. Bro has a nail appointment that day. Woo! He knows he's a bear. Dude is a bust. Can't afford to get exposed. Oh, that's interesting. Can't break a nail. He just had them done. That's right. He painted his nails and all kinds of crap. Yeah, there we go. That could be going in the thumbnail. Just saying. There's a possibility of that. A possibility of that. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Joe Burrow? I'm sorry, but I got to tell you. We knew Joe Burrow was a badass coming out. I mean, I'm sorry, but when I think about both quarterbacks, now Joe Burrow's got an injury issue, but he was a hell of a quarterback coming out. By the way, didn't he win the national title and go undefeated? Caleb Williams, hello, McFly, is this on? You know what I'm getting at. I mean, Joe Burrow just went out and won games. This person says, don't care. My worry is about what's between his ears, not his throwing. Is he dedicated to football? Can he read defenses faster than Justin Fields? Is a good leader? That's what I want to know. I already know he can throw. It's clear. This, Caleb Williams, it's about the mental side of Caleb Williams. And if he's taking that many sacks, there's a bit of a processing issue there. All right? And do you have an issue with being able to be mobile inside the pocket? What I mean is up, down, side to side within the pocket, still throw. Can you do that? Man, red flags everywhere with this guy. Really is everywhere. I mean, we could just now start listing off the things, but when Merrill Hodge destroys you, and when Greg Cosell, somebody that's got absolutely no bias whatsoever, says he takes way too many sacks and that tends to translate, woo, that puts you in a lot of 2nd and 17s. This guy has definitely got some cause for concern if you're a Bears fan, because I do think the Bears are going to draft him. How that ends up historically is going to be very interesting. Yikes. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.